It's speculated that John knew that Matthew, Mark, and Luke had written their Gospels and was probably aware of them. And so there's a lot of things in his Gospels that are different from Matthew, Mark, and Luke, which are called the Synoptic Gospels. And John has a different take on the Last Supper than Matthew, Mark, and Luke. Matthew, Mark, and Luke focus primarily on the institution of Jesus' Eucharist. John has this back in chapter 6 when he has the Bread of Life discourse. The focus of John's Last Supper starts out with the washing of the feet, and then we get this detail about Jesus saying, "Someone is going to betray me," which of course is in all the Gospels. But in John's Gospel only does John lean against Jesus' chest and say, "Who is it?" And Jesus says, "It's the one I give the morsel to." And so John knows it's going to be Judas, even though none of the others do. We look at some of these details, and when we see, what struck me as I was pondering over this is with Judas. Judas and Peter kind of mirroring each other in so many different ways. Peter is what Judas would have been if he had been repentant. Judas is what Peter would have been if Peter had not turned back to Jesus. We look and we see Judas at the washing of the feet, which is not recorded here, but I think would be a good thought process to think about. Peter, of course, we know, said, "Lord, you will not wash my feet." He says, "Oh, yes, I will, or else you won't be clean. Then wash my hands and my head as well." And Jesus says, No, you're clean already, but I need to wash your feet. You can imagine Judas having the same thought process. He's already been to the chief priests. He's already said that he's going to betray Jesus. And here I can see Jesus coming and washing Judas's feet as an act of love, as an act of service, even maybe looking in his eyes with compassion. And I can see Judas being like this and basically saying, "This is not who you're supposed to be." In his mind, not saying it out loud, but just saying, "This is not who you're supposed to be. You're not supposed to be a servant. You're supposed to be a king. You're not supposed to be a slave. You're supposed to be the one who is the highest. I followed you because I expected something from you. And here you are, on your knees, washing my feet, doing the dirtiest of the work. How dare you?" And I can see Judas fuming inside. Fuming inside. Even as Jesus is reaching out and saying, "Do you see the love I have for you? Do you see that to follow me means humility, not exalting yourself?" What is our expectation of Jesus? What is our expectation? When Jesus doesn't meet our expectations, when he doesn't do things in the timing that we want him to do them, in the way we want him to do them, do we get upset at him? Do we get angry at him? Do we shout at him? Do we run away from him? Do we deny him? Do we betray him? We look in the church puts these two people before us, Peter and Judas, and he says, the church says, "See, at the Last Supper, there were two people that betrayed Jesus. One who denied him 3 times, but repented, and one who betrayed him, but despaired. Which are you going to be?" Because we betrayed Jesus as well. Every time we sin, we betray Jesus. But the question is, will we be like Judas and say, "You are not who we expected you to be. I expected it to be easier. I expected to be able to do what I wanted to do when I wanted to do it. That you would just be there to comfort me." Or will we be like Peter, who turns back to the Lord in repentance, bitter tears, and saying, Lord, have mercy on me, a sinner?